bit why everyone's drinking. No one knows what was going on. I wonder what the hell was going on. Anyway, but that's it. All of a sudden, what? And then she stopped raining. Almost.
at Newcastle Airport, where the Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows, are flying from today. So they may be, as I say, slightly after their scheduled start time of 10 to 1, but we should know more exactly in a few minutes' time, and in any case it doesn't really matter because the item that was due to be after them, the Percival Pembroke, has had to cancel due to the weather at its home base at St Athan in Wales. But nonetheless, we have now spoken to everyone who's participating in today's display, and the good news is, with the clearing weather here and elsewhere, we are expecting to put on everything apart from the Pembroke, the MT-03 Autogyro and the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, all of which have, for weather-related reasons, had to drop off the programme today. So once more, run through the schedule. Red Arrows with us to open the show, hopefully only shortly after 10 to 1. Then we've got the Hispano-Bouchon, the Spanish-built Rolls-Royce Merlin engine version of the famed Second World War Messerschmitt Bf-109 from the Aircraft Restoration Company at Duxford. That will be our second item, and we're expecting that on just before 1:45 to resume the display once the Red Arrows have cleared. Then we're straight on with the North American Harvard from Kennet Aviation, and the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron will be following that up with the MiG-15 and 2 de Havilland Vampires. After them, we have
Chrysler a couple of years ago.
For the first time in East Fortune,
Vampires.
RV4s in close formation.
I did at Chrysler Airport a couple of years
They're
ago.
followed by the second of the aircraft from the Aircraft Restoration Company, the very fine Bristol Blenheim that we first saw here 3 years ago. Delighted to have that back with us. That will be followed by the Fairey Swordfish, another welcome returnee to East Fortune from the Royal Navy Historic Flight. And then we're into a Vietnam War section of the programme with the North American Bronco from the Bronco demo team in Belgium. And from MSS Holdings, the Hughes OH-6, the Loach, and the Bell UH-1H Iroquois, the Huey, going through their paces. Both of those helicopters genuine veterans of the Vietnam War. After them, we've got the Hangar 11 Collections North American P-51D Mustang, followed by Jet Aerobatics, the AC Jet Provost T5. And it's the modern-day Royal Air Force who will provide the final two items on the schedule, the Grob G115E Tutor, followed by today's multi-role frontline combat jet, the Eurofighter Typhoon FGR-4, and it will be finishing things off at about 4:25 today. So plenty of flying action for you to come, kicking off with the Red Arrows in just over 10 minutes' time. Exact time of arrival still to be announced. Heard from the RAF pipes and drums. A quick note to say that their performance at the end of the show, their sunset ceremony, which will be conducted at the flagpole next to Family Entertainment at Marquee, has now been brought forward 15 minutes because we don't have the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight to end the display today. So after the Royal Air Force Typhoon has departed off its slot at 4:30, the RAF pipes and drums will be conducting that sunset ceremony.
Aye. I'm just... Aye. Seen it. That's sucking up. That cloud's sucking up. That was the moisture for the ground. And that one way up there. Aye. I'm zoomed in on it. There's some movement there. Up to my right with that cloud. I guess the Red Arrows will come from that direction.
Is only a few minutes to go before the start of our flying programme. A very warm welcome to all of you who have gathered here for Scotland's National Air Show, East Fortune 2018. What a splendid venue for a flying display here at the National Museum of Flight Scotland. We've got several hours of flying to go over the course of the afternoon with aircraft old and new, large and small, fast and slow. And given that this year marks the centenary of the establishment of the Royal Air Force, which was formed through the merger of the Royal Flying Corps and the Royal Naval Air Service on the 1st of April 1918, it seems very appropriate that we should see such strong RAF involvement throughout the show, and that's typified by our opening item. And for that, it's my pleasure to hand you over to Squadron Leader Adam Collins.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Squadron Leader Adam Collins. I am Red 10, the supervisor with the Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows. Well, it's my pleasure to commentate for you this afternoon. I'm going to be talking you through the display, talking you through the manoeuvres. I'll be letting you hear some of Red One's radio communications and giving you some... Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the 2018 RAF Aerobatics Team, the Red Arrows! As Red One leads the formation over in big battle, the coloured smoke changes to white as he bends the formation around to the left, calling them into short diamond. Leading the team is Red One Squadron Leader Martin Pert. Martin is a former Harrier and Typhoon pilot, was previously a Hawk instructor, and is in his first year as team leader. As Red One leads short diamond off to our right hand side, he's about to transition into the first of our aircraft formations. As Red One bends the formation around to our right hand side, we're about to transition into the formation that represents our current multi-role combat aircraft. Stationed at RAF Lossiemouth and at Coningsby, currently deployed on operations in the Middle East and safeguarding the skies over the UK 24 hours a day. It's time for Typhoon. Eight and 9 sweep backs, followed by 4 and 5 rolling to the outside of the formation to form the wings of Typhoon. Red One about to bank the formation round. Red One having to switch from a rolling display to a flat. The cloud off to our right hand side is getting lower, unfortunately, so he's switching between displays to make the most of the conditions. On the right of Typhoon, on the right of Red One, is Red 2, Flight Lieutenant John Bond. John is a former Tucano instructor and display pilot and joins the team from the Typhoon Force. Now approaching us from the front, Red One has moved the formation into Lightning. This 5th generation stealth aircraft has just come into service at RAF Marham and is capable of simultaneous air-to-ground, air-to-air and electronic warfare missions. This is Lightning. On the right of Lightning is Red 4, Flight Lieutenant Chris Lyndon Smith. Chris is a former Tornado GR4 pilot and Hawk instructor, and he's returned to the team for a second tour and is in his second year. As the smoke comes back on, the edges of Lightning sweep forward into a very technically difficult formation for the pilots. We have 6 aircraft all flying side by side, line abreast in Phoenix. On the left of Red One in Phoenix is Red 3, Squadron Leader Mike Ling. Mike was formerly a display pilot on the team. He then did 6 years as Red 10 and returned to the team for 2018 as Red 3. This is Phoenix. As Phoenix moves off to our right-hand side, Red 1 having to modify the display for the conditions. That cloud to our front right just getting in the way as he maneuvers the formation around him. And I've just heard from Red 1 that weather out to our right-hand side is deteriorating, so unfortunately we may have to shorten the display today. He's going to bring the aircraft back round towards us, put them into diamond formation, but that cloud is almost down to the deck front right, which makes the right-hand side of the display, as we look at it, unworkable and unsafe. And safety is our main concern when we're operating in conditions like this, as we always do. So Red 1 about to bring Diamond back towards us. Keep your eyes peeled for him. On the left of Diamond will be Red 5, Flight Lieutenant Dan Lowes. Dan is a former Typhoon pilot and weapons instructor and is in his 2nd year on the team. As Red 1 starts to bring Diamond back from the right-hand side, here we go from the right, leading the aircraft back in our trademark diamond formation. Red 1 banking the formation round to the right, trying to make the best of the weather here. He's going to take diamond away from us, then hopefully bend it round to the left, changing into tornado, ready to come from our left-hand side. At the back of diamond is Red 7, Flight Lieutenant Toby Keeley. Toby is a former Tornado GL4 pilot and Hawk T2 instructor. He's in his 2nd year on the team. In front of Red 7, in the middle of Diamond, is Red 6, the leader of the Synchro pair. That's Flight Lieutenant Cy Taylor, a former Tornado and Typhoon pilot in his 3rd and final year on the team. Well, Red 1 has just called them into Tornado. Reds 8 and 9 are moving off the back of the formation. As they come towards us, the smoke will come on, the air brakes will be out. Red 1 will call 8-9 roll go. I know Red 9's going to be excited about this one. Let's hear him call aboard as they start Tornado. Aboard calls Red 9 as the smoke of 8 and 9 comes on, rolling around the rest of the formation. Red 1 about to bend the formation to the left with the smoke colour changing. Keep those cameras rolling, this might be the show finale. It's Tornado. Red 1 continuing that left turn with 8 and 9 rolling around, about to turn their smoke off and stop the rolls. Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, you have probably guessed, but the weather is not suitable for the jets to continue to display safely. So Red 1 has taken the sensible decision to end the show there and start heading back to Newcastle. Well, there's a few things we can't control, one of those being the weather, and hopefully you've enjoyed what you saw at the display today. The guys working against the elements, trying to get in a safe but enjoyable show for you.
Part of Ron Goodwin's famed music from the Battle of Britain film to accompany this aircraft, which today is operated by the Aircraft Restoration Company from Duxford in Cambridgeshire, where so many of these aircraft gathered 50 years ago. Final part of this very attractive display coming up. The aeroplane, as I said, back in the markings it wore during the filming in 1968 with the code Yellow 10. And what a great contribution these aeroplanes have made in representing the Daimler-Benz powered Bf 109 original on both the airshow scene and in the film world. Final pass from the Hispano Buchon. And a very, very nice display by retired Air Marshal Cliff Spink, former senior Royal Air Force officer, a renowned fighter pilot in his day, who has, thanks to experience he gained during his RAF service on the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight Fighters, become in civilian life one of the most accomplished of all civilian warbird pilots. A regular on the Buchon of the Aircraft Restoration Company that we've just seen. This aircraft itself, apart from Battle of Britain, a film star representative. There goes the Airbus Juno HT1 from the Defence Helicopter Flying School, with Red 10 Squadron Leader Adam Collins on board to take him back off to Newcastle, chasing the Buchon there. Away from Adam as he goes. As I was mentioning earlier, first chance to see this helicopter in his fortune, part of a whole raft of new training types entering RAF service under the MFTS Military Flying Training System. In recent times, both fixed and rotary wing, this and the larger Jupiter providing the basic and advanced stages of rotary wing flying training. So with the Buchon brought in quite a lot earlier than planned, we're now going to have, I think, another short break prior to item 3 on the programme, but loads more to come. We have the Harvard next, then the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron's jets, the MiG-15 and the 2 Vampires. They'll be followed by the 2 RB4s of the Fireflies display team. The other contribution today from the Aircraft Restoration Company in the form of the Bristol Blenheim. Then it's the Bronco, the North American Bronco from the Bronco demo team in Belgium, after which we've got the Royal Navy Historic Flights Fairey Swordfish. Then we've got the 2 Vietnam War veteran helicopters from MSS Holdings, the Hughes OH-6, the Loach, and the Bell UH-1, the Iroquois. They're followed by the Hangar 11 Collection's North American P-51D Mustang, then the Jet Covers T-5 from Jet Aerobatics, and then 2 current...
Oh, there it is.
commentators, could the father of Thomas McLeod please report to the information booth? That's the father of Thomas McLeod. Please report to the information booth. Thank you. The last Harvards on military charge in the UK were those of Kinetic, the test and trials organisation at Boscombe Down, not retired until 2016. Final pass from the Harvard 3. Beautifully flown by John Beattie, former commanding officer of the Royal Navy Historic Flight, and indeed this aircraft has been used regularly by the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight and Royal Navy Historic Flight as a tail dragger trainer, accustoming pilots to the handling characteristics of a higher performance piston-engined tail wheel as opposed to nose wheel under.
Well, blue sky everyone. Coming in there nicely. Bit of wind with it, but not too bad. Along the crowd line, looks good.
That's especially good display at the Harvard when you consider that
How many thousands up there? There's quite a lot of them.
We gather for the display pilots today, certainly doing their level best to keep you entertained. And we are passing on your appreciation of every act to the crews as they depart, and not for nothing is the Sport Tune crowd known amongst those of us who are involved in the staging of the flying display as the most enthusiastic that we encounter any of the shows that we do around the UK, and we appreciate it hugely, and very glad that you so enjoy it. The aircraft we're going to be bringing in next is one of the most formidable adversaries that North American F-86 Sabre jet fighters of the US Air Force were sent to Korea as a rapid response to the MiGs, but the MiG was still better at high altitude than the Sabre. It had a superior rate of climb and it accelerated more quickly. And over northwestern Korea, there became known an area as MiG Alley, which forced the United Nations to suspend daylight attacks by Boeing B-29 Super Fortress bombers in favour of night missions. But at lower levels, the Sabre still had the edge. The greater experience of the American pilots who had seen action in World War II started to win the day, especially when later model Sabres were available. Through the rest of the Cold War, MiG-15s had occasional confrontations with Western aircraft around the fringes of Warsaw Pact territory. One of the most infamous was in 1952 when Douglas DC-3 Dakota of the Swedish Air Force shot down the Soviet MiG-15s. It later turned out that the DC-3 in question had been undertaking a highly secret intelligence gathering mission. In the immediate aftermath, MiG-15s also downed a Swedish Air Force consolidated Catalina flying boat that had been sent to look for the DC-3 crew, and as a result, that incident became known not as the DC-3 incident because the Swedes didn't want to reveal the secret mission of the DC-3. They therefore placed the attention on the shootdown of the Catalina, and it was dubbed the Catalina incident. An RAF Avro Lincoln bomber on a training sortie was shot down by Soviet MiG-15s in one of the Berlin air corridors, and in 1956, during the Suez Crisis, Egyptian Air Force MiG-15s operated against Israeli and RAF aircraft. The type was built under license in Czechoslovakia by Avia, by Shenyang in China in two-seat guys like we see here, and this specific aircraft was built in Poland by WSK Mielec. Came off their production line in Poland in 1952. It served until 1990 with the Polish Air Force when it was sold to a private owner in the United States. It's been with the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron based at Rugge in Norway since 2014 to represent the Cold War enemy. The colour scheme the historical squadron chose for this aircraft is that of a MiG flown by a very famous aviator indeed, the Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin. The reason they chose it is because Gagarin, during his time as a MiG-15 fighter pilot, was stationed at Luostari, close to the Norwegian border. It recalls the many Cold War confrontations between Soviet and Norwegian aeroplanes. This aircraft heralded a whole line of hugely successful, in many cases legendary fighters from the Mikoyan Design Bureau. From this was developed the improved MiG-17, then on to the MiG-19, the very distinctive MiG-21. The variable geometry MiG-23 and its derivative, the 27. The high-flying, very fast-flying MiG-25 and its further developed derivative, the MiG-31. And of course the MiG-29, still a mainstay of many air arms. You can get up close to one of these aircraft here on the ground as part of the museum's collection.
See the big board up there.
This two-seat Polish-built aircraft, the WSK Mielec.
Sorry, back to the MiG-15.
SB-2, as it was known, but it equates to the basic two-seat MiG-15 UTI, as used by the Soviet Air Force. Conversion, training variant, but with built-in combat capability. So, coming in for its final pass from the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron, the WSK DLH SB Lim 2, otherwise known as the Mikoyan MiG-15 UTI.
Here, Dam Busters. The building next to us.
Very, very elegantly flown indeed by Kenneth Ork-Visler, the founder and boss of the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron. He's got nearly 15,000 flying hours to his credit, most of them as an airline captain with SAS, Scandinavian Airlines. He's now retired from SAS, flies the MiG-15 and the Vampires of the Historical Squadron and runs the outfit full-time. He's also a Norwegian Civil Aviation Authority examiner on classic jets and a type rating instructor on them as well. Now, we were at this point to have seen the other two aircraft from the Historical Squadron, the de Havilland Vampires, with us, but unfortunately they've been prevented from getting airborne from Newcastle Airport today due to some kind of incident, not involving a display aircraft of any sort, but something that required the airport authorities there to undertake a runway inspection to make sure that it was clear. And this has prevented them from taking off and making their display slot. And because they've got a commitment at another event later in the day that they need to get to, they very regrettably had to cancel their appearance at East Fortune today. So we're very sorry about that, but there's nothing we can do what with the need to juggle timings between this and the other show, and the fact that obviously they couldn't sit on the runway at Newcastle burning precious fuel any longer than was strictly necessary, because these classic jets are notoriously heavy consumers of fuel. So, no Vampires today, we're very sorry about that. So, there will now be a short intermission before the next act is due in. Again, we'll see if we can bring them in a little early. That's the Fireflies team of Vans RB4s, who are due on at 2:30. Then we'll be following them up with the Blenheim, the Bronco, the Swordfish, the two Vietnam War helicopters, the OH-6 and the UH-1, the P-51 Mustang, the Jet Provost, the Tutor and the Typhoon to finish the show. This was an aeroplane that won its spurs in the Vietnam War. It came into service 50 years ago this month, in the summer of 1968. Initially, it was the US Marine Corps that brought them into service on observation and forward air control duties, and it proved an outstanding weapon in the Southeast Asian conflict. Here is the Bronco. This one went right into harm's way on the 17th of August 1970 when it was serving with the 20th Transport Company of the US Army in Vietnam. It was on a reconnaissance sortie over South Vietnam when it was hit by small arms fire while flying at just 100 feet, because these helicopters of course operated very much in the low level environment. It took 11 hits on its underside, damaging the fuel system and some other components. Of the 3 crew members, just one was slightly injured. The helicopter made a forced landing and was later declared unflyable. It was shipped back to its manufacturer Hughes, repaired and transferred to the US Army National Guard. Later it served with the US Drug Enforcement Agency until it was sold in 2004. Later it was bought by Phil Connolly to add to his other historic helicopter that's now running up on the flight line. Returned to flight in 2011, restored into its Vietnam era colours, and it's got a decommissioned 7.62mm 6-barrel minigun mounted on the port side. During the course of that restoration, the team at MSS Holdings discovered the heating connectors for its wartime service. And this is still a design that's very relevant today, because now as a Boeing product, the so-called Little Bird remains in US Army service. Those are the MH6 and the armed AH6 variants. There's even an unmanned Little Bird, a UAV variant of the much upgraded, much improved helicopter in service these days. But still the design cues very much there from the likes of this OH-6 from the Vietnam War. Hugely enduring helicopter. As indeed is the one running up down to our right. Indeed, this is possibly the most famous of all US military helicopters of the Vietnam War. About to lift, also from MSS Holdings, the Bell UH-1H Iroquois, otherwise known as the Huey.
This is the end, my only friend, the end of our elaborate lives, the end of everything that stands, the end, no safety, no sunrise, the end. I'll never look into your
the UH-1 breaking off. The OH-6, which was flown by former RAF Wessex pilot and long-time RAF helicopter instructor Dick Barton, returning home to base as we now see the UH-1 about to go through its paces. The Bell Company responded to a US Army requirement for a new utility and medical evacuation or Medivac helicopter. Its much more diminutive Bell 47 had gained a great deal of experience in those roles during the Korean War. Designation gave rise to the Huey nickname, which stuck even when the designation was changed to the UH-1. And the design was constantly improved with more powerful engines, bigger cabin, improved rotor blades. Most associated, of course, with Vietnam. The first US Army Hueys arrived in that theatre in 1962 while they were still undergoing evaluation. In Southeast Asia, helicopters like this performed pretty much every role you could think of for a helicopter. They carried out air assault missions, medical evacuation, general purpose transport, they acted as gunships and so on. With UH-1s like this, the US Army could carry out virtually a complete assault mission without need for any other helicopter types. Some of the Hueys would transport troops in, others that were fitted with machine guns or rockets would provide protection for them. The sound of just one Huey is impressive enough. Imagine what the noise must have been like of a horde of these helicopters sweeping over the battlefields of Southeast Asia. Just over 7,000 UH-1s served in Vietnam. More than 3,300 of them were destroyed for the loss of around 2,200 of their crew members. This one served in Vietnam with the 129th Assault Helicopter Company. Until 1973, it was transferred to the US Army National Guard and various support units until it was retired in the year 2000. Then, a few years later, it was shipped to the UK for its new once again wears its Vietnam markings. Huey's still very much in operational service with many air arms, although numbers have gradually been dwindling because even a great helicopter such as this eventually has its day. But the memory of the type in Vietnam, very much perpetuated by this one, the Bell UH-1H Iroquois of MSS Holdings.
Here is the plane that destroyed my Brawley last year at Prestwick Airport. The P and Rain, only it was the blue one.
Those early B-51 Mustangs were powered by the Allison V1710 engine. They were very good aircraft, especially at low level, but for the higher altitude bomber escort role, rather more was needed, and that was when, through quite a lengthy process, the Rolls-Royce Merlin was adopted, built for the Mustang by the American Packard firm. And that was the transformation that really cemented the legend of the Mustang. Time to show your appreciation for the Hangar 11 Collection's P-51D Mustang. And also to show your appreciation for its pilot, because that was the last time you'll see Ian Teichmann, the founder and boss of the Hangar 11 Collection, displaying the Lee's fortune. He's flown here most years since he established his heavy warbird collection with, at one time, 4 aircraft, Mustang, Spitfire, Kitty Hawk and Hurricane, in the mid-2000s. He has decided to hang up his helmet as far as display flying is concerned at the end of this season. You'll miss his very spirited displays. Thank you very much indeed, everyone. Quick notice for the owner of a Nissan Navara, registration PF67CVD. That's a Nissan Navara, registration Papa Foxtrot 67 Charlie Victor Delta. Will you please return to your vehicle, as we would like you to check something in relation to it, please. Thank you very much. For further improvement, with a still more powerful Lightning. This is the T5, which was developed from the outset by the British Aircraft Corporation, BAC, which absorbed hunting aircraft in 1960. It was given the cockpit to permit training at higher altitudes. Again, an upgraded Viper engine and strengthened wings. The RAF ordered 110 of them. They came into service first of all with the Central Flying School at Hospital Rissington. The CFS founded as part of the 1912, the organisation that trains the services and instructors. That was parallel and then Central Flying Training Schools. During its time in RAF service, the Jim Thomas Department became renowned as a very good air display mount, and there were many display teams. It's the first of them 60 years ago, with the Central Flying School on those initial, rather odd-looking Mark 1s, and that team's name was not the most imaginative in RAF history. It was known simply as the Central Flying School Jet Aerobatic Team. But later on, the CFS had the Red Pelicans. Number 1 Flying Training School had the Blades. College of Air Warfare had the Macaws. Number 3, Flight Training School had the Gemini Pair and the Swords. And the last of them was the RAF College Cranwell Poachers in 1976. Several export customers bought the JP Salon in Yorkshire, a basic pilot training, and it was part of that unit's Gemini Pair team. In 1975, it went to number 6 MTS at Finningley in South Yorkshire for training navigators. And also as part of the low-level air defence unit, specifically navigators who'd be destined for fast jet operations in those disciplines. After it was retired by
It has also completed 5 seasons as captain of the Lancaster Dakota, the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, 2 of the most iconic aircraft, Royal Air Force history. Today, the tutor is flown by the Royal Air Force's largest flying school, number 6 Flying Training School. The tutor is used to train junior RAF pilots, University Air Squadron students, and air cadets being flown on air experience flights around the UK. Find out more about these exciting organisations we're meeting University Air Squadron students from East of Scotland University Air Squadron, located at Stand Today. And he will now run it again and reposition onto the crowd guard or course it's over. As he does, we'll be able to see the historic Royal Air Force round painted on the underside of the tutor. The Royal Air Force was the world's first independent air force. During the interwar years it evolved and demonstrated its true potential during World War II. Since then, through the Cold War, the Falklands and more recent conflicts in the Middle East, our people have continued to show extraordinary courage and dedication. We commemorate the service and sacrifice of those who have gone before. Flying in from your right, and you'll perform slow roll. The Grove 115 tutor is operating in partnership with Babcock International Group. It's constructed of carbon composite material, has a 180 horsepower Lycoming piston engine. The tutor has a top speed of 185 knots and can achieve a maximum of 6G with an angular subject forces 6 times stronger than gravity. Ladies and gentlemen, get your cameras ready as Andy performs a Canadian break. High tempo Royal Air Force operations continues today with aircraft and personnel deployed around the world, supporting the Falkland Islands, Romania, Syria, Iraq and Afghanistan. Go to our Facebook, Instagram and Twitter pages to watch the display again from Andy's perspective.
I think I'm on it anyway, on the Facebook. I think I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as we celebrate 100 years of the service, giveaway for the 2018 Royal Air Force Tutor Display.
Thank you very much indeed to Nick, and a beautiful display by Andy. As we were saying earlier with the Fireflies display team that we had earlier on with the 2 Vans RV4s. Tutor, again, a relatively low-powered aeroplane. Energy management absolutely key in flying a display such as that, and that was a superb example of it. Well, one act only remains. It's the noisiest of the day, so be prepared for that. It's also a display of immense dynamism by one of the aircraft that makes up the Royal Air Force's modern-day front line. An aircraft very much on current operations, particularly Operation Shader, the UK's element of the fight against the so-called Islamic State, or Daesh, in Iraq and Syria. They're engaged there at this very moment. Now, the retirement next year of the venerable Panavia Tornado GR4 is really bringing to the fore the RAF need, the aircraft that we're about to see, to become truly multi-role and to fulfil all the Tornado's different missions. And to that end, BAE Systems is developing what's known as Project Centurion, which will introduce the Phase 2 and 3 enhancements to this aeroplane, bringing new air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles into its armoury. To the north for it, so to the left for its initial run-in, and it's about to be called in for what is an extremely noisy display, as I said. But quite apart from the enhancements I was mentioning, this is a very capable aeroplane already in its own right, as was demonstrated from the outset of its combat career with the RAF. That was in 2011's Operation Ellamy over Libya, when aeroplanes of this type completed 613 combat sorties. The aircraft in question comes from number 29 Squadron, the operational conversion unit for this type, stationed at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire. It's the Eurofighter Typhoon FGR4, and for the 2018 display season, it's in the hands of Flight Lieutenant Jim Peterson. And I expect, judging from the cloud base, we're going to see his full display. He'll be making a high-speed arrival at about 500 knots into a barrel roll, and from then on, the thunder of the two Eurojet EJ200 afterburning turbofan engines barely ceases for the first several minutes of his demonstration. It's an aeroplane with so-called carefree handling, the digital fly-by-wire system not allowing the pilot to take the aeroplane outside of its envelope. Like many modern designs, the basic configuration of the Typhoon is inherently unstable, so the fly-by-wire system is, of course, vital. Small so-called flaperons on the aircraft's wings give roll control. The flaperons and the canard foreplanes you'll see on the aircraft give pitch control. Yaw control comes from the rudder. It's an incredibly advanced machine, a very agile machine, a very exciting machine, the RAF Typhoon FGR4. slows, and Jim setting the aircraft up for the aircraft's slow speed, high alpha, high angle of attack pass. We'll see the nose of the aircraft extremely high as the aircraft runs through. And I expect him, when he reaches the centre point of the display area, to perform a slow speed loop with undercarriage down. Incidentally, I should add that once this display is over, the RAF Pipes and Drums will be performing their sunset ceremony at the flagpole next to the family entertainment marquee. That and this aeroplane, both commemorating RAF 100. Display today has the RAF 100 logo on its tail, like the Jet Provost did earlier. Jim now bringing the aircraft round back in front of us for an on-crowd loop into a climbing maximum performance spiral climb. Now accelerating the Typhoon to around 500 knots. And coming past us for the last time, the Eurofighter Typhoon FGR-4. That was Flight Lieutenant Jim Peterson from number 29 Squadron. And that was the end of the flying programme at Scotland's National Air Show 2018. And there are a whole host of thank yous to run through before we hear from the RAF Pipes and Drums for that sunset ceremony in a few minutes' time. Edinburgh Airport, Air Traffic Solutions, NATS, the National Air Traffic Services and Signature Flight Support, all instrumental in helping this air show take place. Also all of the emergency services, the civil and military aviation authorities, East Lothian Council, and everyone who has given up their time to help stage this remarkable air show in the face of some rather difficult weather conditions once again earlier on today. Our thanks also to the team from Air Tattoo Event Services.
Two outside lane hoggers. Two outside lane hoggers. The Beamer and the Renault. No, 50 side. No, 50 side. Aye, that's new. Well, I was actually having a hard time deciding where to go. I know, but